Today I'm going to share with you a Notion template I created, and you can duplicate the template down in the description below. This template is for knowledge management, and this can be very useful for both students and casual learners. So the one thing I really wanted to focus on in this template is mostly how do we easily and effectively connect notes to each other and give these connections context. What these connections will do using the relation property is help the user learn a new concept or better understand them. In addition to making these connections in the template, I also have a section for memorization or flashcards. Also, there will be a bit of task management, but it won't really be the focus here. I provide a minimal to-do list for daily pages in a master calendar. So without further ado, let's just get right into how to use this knowledge base inside of Notion. We have a few different database pages. So we have 4 different sections under these toggles. All of these are databases. And in databases, we can collect a series of pages. For example, in Quick Notes, this is just in a basic table style database. And if I were to create a new row in this table, new page, and click through Open as Page, I'll be able to see it as its own page and add information either at the top here. You can add a new property or click on the header to edit an existing one. So what I'm doing is just essentially collecting information inside of these databases, but in addition to collecting information, I'm also connecting that information to each other. Following these toggles, this is just kind of how I would use it. I would add information either through the master calendar or common topics. So common topics are essentially the topics that your information is describing. So we have 2 different databases here. We have one for topics and one for info. This is the topics database that is connected to, in Manage Knowledge, the common info database. So this is how it looks like filled out. I go to common info here, my mockup. You'll see a bunch of pages that have quite a lot of text. So each page is describing, for instance, just sort of a piece of information. That piece of information, like this here, in this case the topic, which is a relation property, Introduction to the New World. So I had an old textbook in my room that I used as these mock-up notes for American history. And inside of the textbook, if you're using this to write textbook notes, the section in the textbook was called Introduction to the New World, and this was a piece of information inside of that section. So if I were to click through to this page, it would be inside, I can open it up as a page, the Common Topics database. So this is connected. And so this is a topic, and inside the body of the page, I am adding, editing, and managing all of the information inside of that topic. And then down at the bottom, I'm creating flashcards to help with memorization, to help learn about this topic better. And each one of these cards acts like a traditional flashcard. Like this card here, what 2 groups primarily occupied the middle colonies of the 13 colonies. I can click this checkbox for reveal, and it will show me the backside of the flashcard or the answer, and then I can also hide it. And you'll see that I can also drag each of these cards as I reveal them into certain understanding tags. So we do have the ability to break down topics, which is great. So the ability to break down topics inside of the body of the page is done with a database template, which we'll go into. So if I just show all of my properties for these topics, you'll see that there is a relation called information. This is relating back to Common Info database. So if I click on the title here, I can see a nice preview window that explains this connection. Common Topics is a database that is connected to Common Info. The relation property is called information, which you'll see up here, and back in Common Info, every information has a relation property called topic, which we saw. So if I go back here to this piece of information, topic. is that relation. Again, back to this topic. So that's how that connection works. Let's go back to the template. And go to common topics, and let's put in some information. So if I wanted to create my first topic page, I would just go to topic list, database view, and click new. Let's open this up, and let's call this Peopling the Americas. So if I were to have this be the topic, I then want to select a subject area. So if you are writing notes from a textbook or a book in general, the subject area for something like this could be American history, Northern American history, Southern American history, something more broad that explains this topic, or that can be sort of an umbrella subject. If you're a student, it could also be the class you're in, the title of the textbook, the title of the chapter, however you want to break down information. What I do suggest for each one of these topics, though, is that you don't choose topics with a ton of information. Try to really break it all down. I like to keep it between 5 and 15 information pages per topic. So Founding of Americas will be the subject area. The other properties here describing topic pages are index, created, and information. I'm going to hide the 3 properties here that I don't really need to see. And the reason I don't need to see them is because I don't need to fill them out. What I do want to fill out is maybe index, which is just tags. So for Peopling the Americas, a tag might be sea levels. And I can create now a new page in common index. So sea levels, let's say glaciers, climate, Native Americans can be one as well. Now what I like to do with index is if it's a little bit too broad of a tag and I want to make it more precise, like not just Native Americans are being talked about in this topic, but Native Americans who happen to be Aztec, I will put in lowercase, comma, Aztec. So it's giving it more of a precise tag. And then I could do another one for Native Americans, but specifically Inca. I'll have my tags here, which I can keep adding to as I add information. But let's take a look. If I click through to maybe this one here, Aztec, I can actually navigate right to the page. And if I go up here to the parent page, common index, you'll see at the top, I can now see all of my index tags categorized in alphabetical order. And you'll see a few different database views. One is for all, which shows all of the tags in gallery cards, A through E, so I'm only seeing tags A through E, and I can also quickly navigate to the topics associated, and I can also navigate to all of my web clippings that happen to also have these tags. And you'll see in the home page, going back to the parent page of that, common index is under Manage Knowledge. Let's go back to common topics. And you'll notice that the Peopling the Americas topic page we created is now in our topic list. It's also in all topics. And inside the toggle for Founding of Americas, which is the subject matter, we have a card called Peopling the Americas. So inside of this page, before breaking down the topic, let's create a relation page that illustrates the day that this topic was created. And today I added this topic on June 25th. 2022. So this is the syntax that you'll have to use. 2 digits, 4. And you can then create a new page called 6/25/2022 in Master Calendar remotely. What will happen if I click through is you'll see inside of the Master Calendar daily page that not only do we have the date as the title, but also as the date. So if I open this up as a page, go to its parent page now as Master Calendar, I'll see on June 25th, we have a daily page. And you'll also notice that a formula is showing called 0 tasks due. And we're going to get into how to add tasks to a certain daily page. But let's go back to topics. We have our created date. Let's select new topic template. So select a new template will give you a full width page and give you the ability to start adding information to this topic. Let's say the first piece of information that I have is this. The Great Ice Age exposed a land bridge from Eurasia to North America. I can add a theme. So let's say this is the theme of geography and maybe migration. This, of course, all depends on what you're studying, what your themes are, but I like having this for each piece of information. You'll notice at the top, we now have themes generating for this topic. And I really like this because it gives me the ability to have two separate ways of identifying knowledge in my hub. One by general themes and another by more specific tags in my index. Okay, now that I have this, maybe there's another piece of information. Like the peoples traveling across this land bridge for 250 centuries. The themes for this would be migration. Now you'll notice that I've created two different pieces of information with the theme migration, but at the top here, it's just keeping one. If I were to edit this roll-up and calculate to show original, it would give me the total number of tags I'm using, which includes 2 migration tags. So I am choosing in calculate show unique values, so that doesn't occur. So this is what is called a roll-up property. Now if I were to click on the heading here, go to edit property, all a roll-up needs is a relation. So this is grabbing from the relation information. So I'm gonna show my 2 other hidden properties here. You'll see in information we now have those 2 pages connected. So what I'm doing with this roll-up is selecting the relation information down here and grabbing, like a window, these themes and then calculating by showing just the unique values of those select properties. So the next thing I would do is create a connection between these 2. The effect of this land bridge being exposed is that people are crossing it. So what I'm going to do is go to either cause or effect. So let's just go to effect and say the Great Ice Age exposed a land bridge. I'm going to click through effect and then I'm going to select my other piece of information, which is for 250 centuries, people crossed over. So now there's a connection made. And if I were to go through the page here, the Great Ice Age exposed a land bridge, I can see in effect, this piece of information is connected. If I were to go to this other piece of information, the people crossing the land bridge, I can see in cause is the Great Ice Age exposing the land bridge. Let's say there's another piece of information. I'm going to go back to info and add it to the list. And the theme here, the sea level rose about 10,000 years ago, leaving the Americas disconnected from the rest of the world. I would give this the theme of geography. And what I can do with this is make a connection again. I can say that this piece of information correlates with the Great Ice Age exposing a land bridge. Because it's not directly an effect of the land bridge existing, it just happens to correlate with that piece of information, or relate. So I'm going to go to correlate, and I'm going to click inside of the cell directly next to my latest piece of information and search for this page here, the Great Ice Age exposed a land bridge. So I can type it in and search, and select. Now that I've made that relation, you'll see up here that first page now correlates with our new piece of information as well, automatically, which is nice because I don't have to physically go up to this first page and make the correlation back. So the next piece of information is going to be the empires that existed inside of these Americas. So again, this is under the umbrella of peopling the Americas, so this is appropriate for this page. I'm going to add a new page. And the themes for this is going to be geography and maybe culture. So you'll notice up here again, I've added a new select property, which means in themes for this topic, we're adding that new select property in the topic. So with this piece of information, I can then describe it. Maybe I want to describe what these cultures did. So what I'll do is add another piece of information that may do that, describe. You can say the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas were mathematicians that had strikingly accurate astronomical observations. So for the themes here, I could say technology and culture. Again, technology will show up here. So if this piece of information is describing the one above, I can go to the descriptor or describe. So I can say this piece of information describes the 3 advanced empires in Western Hemisphere. So I'll go to describe and I'll make sure in this cell, I'm looking for the 3 advanced empires page. And I can click through and it will populate. And if I go to descriptor, I can then see the 3 advanced empires has a descriptor, the peoples of these empires, or mathematicians with strikingly accurate astronomical observations. So those are all of my relations. That's how I connect information together. Now the next step I would do after getting all of this information down is I would go to the card database view. And this is where you're going to create your flashcards. I'll click through the cell next to it and I will type in the question or the front of the flashcard. And I'm going to create a new page. So that's going to be the front of the flashcard, and you'll notice if I just go down here, that flashcard is now showing at the bottom of the page. Because now this flashcard is directly correlating to this topic page. What I can do is not only create flashcards, I can edit the flashcards and even use them down here at the bottom. So when I click reveal, right now there's no answer on the back of the card. I'm going to do that over in edit card. And we have our flashcard here. And I'm going to put in the answer in description. And now when I select reveal, it will show the answer in the card. And let's say I didn't really know the answer all that well. I only knew part of the answer. I would drag it to fragmented. I only had a fragmented understanding. You can also view it in like a checklist view, where you have all of your flashcards in a table, and you can select reveal and reveal the answer, and then choose an understanding. Now let's take a look at how you can connect your web clipper to each one of your information pages. So what we have here is another database view where you can connect things from the web. So let's go actually to that from web database via the homepage from web. And I'm going to select a new page, an empty page, just to show you what the properties look like. So we have index. We can add index tags or select ones that already exist. Information that is connected to this particular web clipping, the source link, and the date added to add to our master calendar. What we can also do is when we found an article to save, is use an extension on Chrome called Save to Notion. Now, if you are familiar with my channel, you know that I use this extension a lot for web clipping. There is a native app that Notion has, but I do like this one better because we can actually work with relations within the Chrome extension. So here's what I mean. Here's the article that I want to save to Notion, to my web clipper database. Not only do I want to save the link, but I want to save the entire contents of the page. So after downloading Save to Notion, you'll have this little Send To icon in your toolbar. I can then sign into Notion and start creating a form. So add a form. I'm going to select my workspace, and then the database I want to connect to. In this case, it's called From Web in my knowledge base. Great. I am then going to select Clip Page Content. The title is going to be the page title. Show 3 more fields. The source, so that's our source property here will be filled out as the page URL. I don't want the page icon to be filled out, but I can keep the content image. I'm going to select Add New Field, and here I can select all of those properties in that database. Information, add another field, index, add another field, date added. And my form is completed. I'm going to save and go back. Whenever you want to save an article to your web clipper, you're just going to select in your toolbar the Save to Notion icon from Web Form. And what it will do is, firstly, it is giving the title of this article. If I show 2 more fields, it also auto-populates the source link, and the content image will also be grabbed. Now, the information that I want to attach this to is going to be this one here. For 250 centuries, people crossed the land bridge. And you'll notice that all the information we added in this video is populating in this drop-down menu, and we can choose them. Or if there's a lot of information, you can search. Or I can create a new one. So the index, I can choose existing tags like climate and date added. If I already have the date here, I can select June 25th, I can search, or I can create a new one, maybe June 27th, 2022, and create it. This is why I like using this extension. I'm now ready to save it to my database. So add new page. And now it should be added to the database. So let's go back. And there it is. It's populated in our From Web database. And in addition to populating, we actually may not need that cover image there. We also have the entire article. Now, there may be some other stuff in here that you may not want, so you can go and edit. But it's literally taking everything from that page. And you can come in here and read it inside of Notion, which I like to do. And you'll notice up at the top, our metadata has been filled out, or our database properties. We have information, the source link, which we can connect back to the web, the date added, and the index climate, which now has 2 connections. Okay, so let's go back to that topics database and peopling the Americas. What you'll notice now is as you flip through these database views and go to web, firstly, you'll notice that the web clipping we just made in connection to For 250 Centuries, People Crossed the Land Bridge is here. And we can select it, read the article, come back, and we can also, via this view, connect to the actual web page where this is from. So I can just click right back through. So this is really useful. We can use this topic page to collect information, connect that information to other databases, and even roll up data from those connections, like this link. Let's go back to the home page. There's another portal I have where you can also add information to, which is the master calendar. So we've already interacted with this, but I'm going to show you more about how it works. You'll notice a couple things. It shows how many tasks are due that day, and it gives you a template inside of the page, just like in topics. So if you want to add a brand new page to this calendar, go to the New button, and let's say maybe June 30th. So 06/30-2022. So any syntax will work as long as it is 2 digits, some kind of character, 2 digits, and some kind of character. And it will generate a date below via this formula. Now if I go back to the calendar, June 30th should be filled out as a clickable link. Once I've created my date, I can select the template New Day. And I can do the same for my other pages, New Day and New Day. I'm going to open this up as a page. At the top, what I have are quick notes that I can add to this date. And quick notes are separate from the information. Information has topics, it's being broken down, it's something you maybe want to memorize, where quick notes doesn't really apply. It's sort of just random notes for that day. So random notes go here, and you can add different tags as well. Now next to quick notes, we have to do. That's where the minimal task management comes to play. So I can add a new to-do due for the June 25th and say, make dinner for family. And if I click back to this day, I have that to do and a little checkbox once I'm done. You'll notice tasks due has populated to say 1 tasks due. And if I go back to the calendar, I will see also 1 task due within the calendar window, which is really convenient. So to go back in through June 25th, at the bottom, I also have all the topics I added for this day, like peopling the Americas. Remember, we said created on June 25th. So that will show up here, but I could also add new topics that automatically connect to this day as well. I also have a database view for all web editions. So if we go back to the master calendar and go to the 27th, we did make that 1 web edition connected to this date. So that's how you can add information through the master calendar as well, and even have a little bit of task management in your knowledge base. Now that we have all this information we're starting to input into this system, let's go to the home page and take a look at how all of this is collecting. So we are adding information primarily either through Common Topics database or through the master calendar. All of these other databases are essentially collecting that information. So we have Quick Notes, where all of the quick notes are being collected. The to-do list, where all of the to-do list items. Now in to-do list, you can check off a to-do list here as well. And you'll notice that when you check it off, it goes into the archive. That's because there is a filter that says done is checked. And in all tasks, done is unchecked. Pretty basic filter there. Now I can uncheck an archive and it will return back to all tasks. Very basic. You can add more properties here if you'd like. Now the next is memorization. This is where all of the flashcards are being held. There are some directions up here in the description, but basically what it's saying is as you are giving each card an understanding tag by dragging it, either through this page or through your topics page, because it will update, there might be a point where you very much have an automatic understanding of this piece of information, of this flashcard. And you have an automatic understanding for repeated sessions. So you want to put it in the archive. It disappeared. That's because it disappeared to the archive recall database view. Now let's say when you do recall that information, you're not quite as knowledgeable about it as you were before. And you're like, well, I actually more have a fragmented understanding of this now. It disappeared again, because when I go back to flashcards, it will return to my active flashcards, prompting me to review this more often. Now the next is the common index, and we've gone through the common index, where all of the tags are being collected. And if I were to go to climate in this database view, A through E, I'll also be able to see it in a table view, which can be easier to navigate than clicking through the page. I can just navigate to the topic it's connected to, or the multiple topics, and see all the information in that topic page. So we have common topics here, where we have all our topics. And then common info is all that information that describes those topics. So if I go to all, you'll notice that it is grouped by the date. So today we added all of this information. And I can also view this information in different ways. I can view it by their themes. Remember, we gave each piece of information a theme. I can also view information by causes. So just information that has a cause attached to it, or an effect, or a correlation, or a descriptor. or it describes something, or it has a web clipping attached to it. You can even add a new view looking at, recalling, or reviewing your information. And you can also delete database views as well. And then, of course, the last one, which is the web clipping database from web, where all of your web clippings will show up. This is also fairly stripped back, and you can also add more properties to this and more ways to view them as well. And like I said, I like using the web clipper extension saved to Notion, which will be linked down in the description below. So that's pretty much it. Let me show you sort of a filled out version of how all of this looks. So maybe in flashcards, you might start getting a lot of flashcards collecting. It may look something like this. And you can go through each column, reveal each card, test yourself, and drag that card around the pipeline. There's archive recall, where you can recall information that you know quite well. You can also use a checklist view to review information in a table. Also, a more filled out information database looks like this. And with a lot of this information, I like looking at it in dark mode, which is just Command-Shift-L on your keyboard. And I have a few different database views here. Again, the theme, causes, effects, correlations, again, descriptors, describes, and from the web. It is still fairly fast, even with a lot of information. What I suggest to do is if you go to your database menu, there is an option for load limit. So this is the amount of pages it will load upon entering the page. If you don't have as powerful of a computer, like maybe just a little laptop, I would suggest 25. That's what I use on my laptop. Reveal 25 pages at a time. 50 or 100. 100 pages is what I use on this computer that I'm filming on right now, because it is quite powerful. This is an example of the topics database. And then from the web, we'll populate in a gallery view like this. So yeah, that's pretty much how this knowledge base works. I did kind of just create this with mostly me in mind, which I usually don't do. So I do hope that this is useful for people beyond myself. Let's just go right into the outro. Hope you guys found some inspiration here, and if you are using the template, let me know how you like it. It is stripped back. I tried to make it purposefully so that you can go and add properties and different database views and different ways to visualize this information in a knowledge base. So with that being said, I'll see you guys the rest of the week on Twitter and next time with a new video. I'll see you then.